crafty friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am making a layout using the Ali Edwards digital story by the month kit for February, and it is February, so much of the stuff that's coming out right now is love themed, and you guys know I don't need any reason or any excuse to make a layout about how much I love my husband, because those are some of the stories I enjoy telling the most right now. So of course I'm telling a story about how much I love my husband, but there was a really interesting stamp set in the digital release, and it was what matters least right now and what matters most right now. And you guys, when I tell you I saw that, first of all, being on the creative team, we get a sneak peek of everything that comes out, and I saw that stamp set and it literally, like, when I tell you it stopped me, like I say this a lot, that things punch me in the gut or things stop me in my tracks. This, like, the dichotomy of these two sentiments, what matters most and what matters least right now, I knew that whatever I made was going to be about that. And then when I sat down to build the skeleton of my page, I decided I was going to talk about what matters the least in my relationship and what matters the most. That just felt like, first of all, it felt like a fun story to tell. I don't know how much fun it is, but it felt like a good place to start. I think so often we get hooked and we get like stuck on the small things in our lives, and it makes us miss the big picture. And so I really wanted to tell the story of what matters most and what matters least in my relationship. And so I did the when I wrote my journaling, and I will of course read my journaling to you guys, but when I wrote my journaling, I started with what matters most. And then, first of all, before I start that, this is the stories by the month. Where's the stamps? Oh, this is the stories by the month stamp set from last year. I printed my photo on matte photo paper because I knew I wanted to do some stamping directly on the photo, and I'll show you what else I did in Photoshop while I'm working, but I'm just gonna stamp. I want to do some like second and third generation stamping on this photo of Joshua, so I'm gonna start down here, and which is probably why I printed the photo black and white and why I printed it on matte photo paper. So I stamped the heart first, and then I'm just going to keep stamping it so it gets a little bit more transparent as we go. And I'm going to do it probably again up here because you can't really see it down there with how dark his shirt is, but I just wanted the hint, like I wanted the hint of color on this page. So just doing some stamping. So I did first, second, third generation stamping, which is just stamping again without re-inking your stamp block. And I kind of want to do it again because, you know, I have this thing about doing things in threes. Now that I've done it twice, I feel like I have to do it again because I can't do things with an even number. So I'm going to probably do it in reverse, which is where I do the super sharp one at the top and then have it get a little bit more transparent as we go down. Okay, I like that so much. Okay, good. So I've done my stamping, and that's the Pendleton ink. It's the red ink from Ali Edwards. So you can see I have my my 3 sets of stamping. So anyways, what was I saying? My journaling. When I sat down to write my journaling, I started with the what matters most. And then I wrote this huge blurb about what matters most. And then when it got down to what matters least, I had no idea what I was going to say. And so I did the journaling, and I'll read it to you. And when I decided to put it in the album, I did what matters least first, because what matters least is what matters least. It's not as important. And then I did what matters most next to it. And then I went into the cards. This is just a card. I'm not altering that card at all. That's just what the card is. This was just this pink circles, and then this stamp set, this stamp was a digital stamp, and this is what made me decide to do the first, second, and third generation stamping on the layout, because I just stamped it once, full opacity, repeated the stamp again, took the opacity down, repeated the stamp again, took the opacity down, repeated the stamp again, and I did that 4 times, so you can kind of see it mimics the look of first, second, third generation stamping, without actually having to stamp anything. And I think, so I'm either going to put a bit of chipboard here. I think I'm going to put a bit of chipboard to fill that space. So let's see. I might put I kind of like this story. since it's gray, I like that neutral. All right, so I'm gonna put that there. So I went ahead and I added my chipboard heart, and the red in this stamp and the red in this stamp was from a journaling card. I just used the color picker to pick that red up from a journaling card so it could be the same color as the cards, but then I didn't end up, it was a card that I was going to use, which is why I used the color picker, and then I changed my mind. So I didn't actually end up using that card. So I do want to stamp something. Maybe I'll stamp one of these hearts. Yeah, maybe I'll stamp one of these, Be the Love, or just, actually I might just stamp that heart. So I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that heart, and then I'll keep building my page. So I loved the yellow. I love the fact that there was yellow in this year's Story by the Month's digital, because there's that yellow chipboard that says You Are My Everything, and it was in the last year's Stories by the Month. I love that Ali kind of repeats those colors, because there was actually teal in this month's kit as well. So you can mix and match the Stories by the Month kit if you have leftovers, which is how I was able to pull some stuff out. So I'm just testing this black stamp, this heart stamp, until I can get a good impression. So I'm just gonna keep testing it. Okay, that's pretty good. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna do some repeat stamping. So I'm gonna grab my stamp pad. This is just a pad that I took out my Misty, but I find that it helps me get really good stamped impressions the first time. So I'm gonna stamp this and then just do some, oh, I love how that looks. That came out, okay, I'm kind of glad I did that. And this is just the Crafters inks from Ali. I'm obsessed with these inks, you guys. They stamp. So I haven't tested them out on glossy photo paper, so that's gonna be what I do next, is to see how they work on glossy photo paper, and I haven't tested them out yet. But they stamp beautifully on cardstock or on matte photo paper, which is what I printed my stuff on. And I printed my stuff on matte photo paper again on purpose so I could stamp on it. So I'm gonna grab this yellow chipboard that says You Are My Everything and pop this here to mimic that yellow on that side. We're just repeating colors. So we're gonna pop this. This is You Are My Everything right here. That looks pretty straight. I'm gonna go ahead, I'll punch the holes after. I'm gonna punch the holes on this page after I put it in my album, because it has to match the page before it, and it's just easier to adhere the pages together and then punch the holes. And then here is my journaling. So I'm gonna start looking at things and see if there's any missing gaps, if anything else needs something. I love the heart stamping on this with that yellow. And then my journaling is printed on vellum. And then I have that regeneration stamping. I kind of want to put a little bit of chipboard down here. A lovely little story. Let's see. Yep, I love that, a lovely little story. So I'm going to kind of center it between the heart stamping and that magic in the mundane sentiment. So it's going to go, it's not going to be centered on the photo, but it's going to be kind of centered with the embellishment clusters I've already put down. Okay, I like that so much. All right. So I think I like it. I think I like it. Do I want to put a heart here? Let's see. Do I want to put a heart here? Never forget. Never forget. Or do I want to put no circles? I'm not introducing any new shapes. Maybe I'll put a heart. Never forget. I don't want to introduce any new sentiments just because I don't want to take away from the what matters most, what matters least. I think I'm going to put that heart right in the middle just so there's a heart on all of the elements of this spread, I guess is what we're going to call it. So I'm going to just go right down the middle and center it right up top. I'm really glad I did that. I like that a lot. Okay, you guys, so I think that is the complete spread. This one came together really quickly outside of Photoshop. Most of the work I did was, and honestly in Photoshop it wasn't hard at all. I did that, like I said, that generation stamping, mimicking, and I just put a digital stamp here and printed all the bits and pieces. Hybrid work does not have to be hard. Like there are definitely some more like challenging things you can do in hybrid, but hybrid work does not have to be difficult, which is what I love about working in hybrid. So I will read you my journaling. since we're pretty much done, because after this I'm just going to go ahead and pop it in the album. So for what matters least is the small stuff, and doesn't the small stuff have a knack for feeling huge when they really are just the most minute bits and bits of day-to-day living that seem to only exist to tempt us away from what really matters. What matters least is the dishes in the sink that you forgot to wash, and please remind me that I'm saying this the next time I have a meltdown over said dishes in the sink. What matters least is the pile of shoes by the door that you always seem to leave behind just for me to trip over. What matters least is the way your singing makes my teeth hurt and makes me want to rip every hair out of your head when I am desperate for silence. What matters least is the way your snoring just echoes and resonates and repeats in our bedroom when I can't sleep. I have contemplated smothering you multiple times, but I don't think I'll get away with it, and I don't look good in orange. What matters most is this home we are building, this safe space we are carving out for each other, where we can just be, where we are free to stretch and dream and expand into whoever we are becoming. What matters most is the way you love me, the love language you speak to me in, and the language you receive in. What matters most is that you feel fulfilled, that you feel loved in return, that I can meet as many of your needs as possible, and that you teach me how to fill the gaps in the ones that I am missing. What matters most is that you feel at ease, that you leave your burdens at the door, that coming home doesn't feel hard or laborious, that coming back to me at the end of the day feels like a treat, like joy, like spring. What matters most is that you never feel like you have to apologize for being you, that you are the most you can be, and that you smile at me just like this forever. So there's my journaling. There's my page. I love how this came out. First of all, I love that this big picture is black and white because it lets me play with so many more colors on the page. I love the red with the pink and the yellow, and I think this is going to be a great addition to my story album. So you guys, I hope you like this. I hope you learned something here from like the techniques that I'm using. Again, really easy to just use digital stamps and recolor it. Hybrid does not have to be hard. Hybrid is just making the products work for you. So if you like this stuff and you like the sentiments and the stamps that you see, head on over to the Ali Edwards shop if you want to grab the digitals. If you like this video, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe if you're so inclined. And I will see you around. So until next time, keep it crafty, friends, and have the very best day. Bye!